Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1383. Today on Cars Yeah, I'm celebrating the 23rd annual Ironstone Concours that takes place on September 28th at the beautiful Ironstone Vineyards in Murphys, California. To learn more about this fantastic event, go to ironstoneconcours.org.
And if you do, you're going to get rewarded.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hey Cars Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Covercraft. I've protected my vehicles with their products for decades. Want to keep your vehicle's interior looking new? It's easy with Covercraft seat covers. They'll protect your seats from the daily abuse of pets, children, weekend adventures, and even those everyday spills. It's a fast, easy, and inexpensive way to keep your vehicle looking new. All Covercraft seat covers are easy on, easy off design that are machine washable. You can choose from many fabric options, colors, and accessories, all designed and carefully sewn for your special vehicles. Their seat gloves are semi-custom fit for cars and trucks, and their seat savers, a favorite of mine, are custom tailored to fit your seats like a glove. Work truck seat covers are tough, durable, denim weight fabric. It's like putting a pair of rugged jeans on your truck's seats. Want to stay warm? Covercraft also offers seat heaters. Covercraft is the right choice. Learn more today at covercraft.com and tell them Mark at Cars Yeah sent you. That's covercraft.com. Hello, automotive enthusiasts. I'm revved up and so excited to introduce today's very special guest calling in from a nice little town in California, Altaville, Firman Brown. Hey, Firman, are you buckled up and ready for a fun ride?
Well, I got my seatbelt on, my helmet on, and my insurance policy in my hand, and we should go.
I hope we don't need that insurance policy.
Okay.
Firman Brown serves on the Ironstone Concours Board of Directors as well as the Sonora Regional Horseless Carriage Club, and he is in his third year on the Calaveras County Grand Jury. His career includes farming. It included working for a wholesale liquor, beer, and wine distributor, and eventually purchasing his own distributorship, which he eventually sold. He lived in Pebble Beach for 30 years and had a great relationship with the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance. And after moving to Calaveras County, he founded the Friends of the Calaveras County Fair and Jumping Frog Jubilee. Today, he is the project manager for the Utica Hotel restoration and development. And when he's not in his shop playing, he's probably working on his old cars. So, Firman, I've told our listeners just a little bit about you. Before we jump into the questions, could you take a brief moment and share a little bit more about your life, your career, and your passion for old automobiles?
Well, I remember having dinner one time with a friend who was restoring a Model A pickup. And about 15 years later, he invites me back to dinner again, and I said, hey, how's that project going? He said, well, it's not finished yet. And I said, I can't believe that you've taken 15 years on this thing. I would never take that long for any kind of a project. And he says, well, it's a hobby. And he quoted me this: a hobby has no time limit and no pressure. Well, I still didn't agree with him. So I told him someday I would like to have a Model T. And he found me one. Well, I asked him, how does it run? Well, he told me it doesn't run. It's in pieces. But there's about 3 complete cars in the pieces. Well, anyway, I picked up 3 pickup loads. I took them into Pebble Beach, and the gate guard says, there's no place for that rusty stuff, Mr. Brown. And I said, I just bought this stuff. And he said, oh, I'm so sorry you just bought that. Well, there were 3 engines and 6 left fenders, no right fenders, and it was a Model T truck. Well, truck parts aren't available, car parts are available. So I had to find stuff all over. And one time I found a Model T truck in Idaho. So I had one of my beer trucks coming out of Washington swing by and pick up the parts. Well, my warehouseman, he was shocked to see the rusty mess in my garage, in the truck, but that was the start of my collecting and restoring cars.
There you go.
Eventually won the commercial class at Ironstone Concours.
Well, even better.
And now it's owned by a very happy fellow in Germany.
Cool. Well, it's nice that you got that project done. Has your friend ever finished his car?
Yes, he has. I think I motivated him,
Okay.
I motivated or intimidated him, one or the other.
You pushed him along. Well, as we continue on this journey of your life here, Firman, I like to start by asking my guests for a success quote or a mantra. It's a nice way to get the inspirational tires turning here on Cars Yeah, so take the wheel.
Well, I really feel that you must give back to your community in some form or fashion, and if you do, you're going to get rewarded. I like to give back in all sorts of ways. Belonging on the board of directors of these Ironstone Concours, we give back to the community in various ways. We support the 4-H, the FFA, give scholarships, and this is our 23rd year, and we have over 300 entries coming in this year, and we've donated back over $700,000. So that's a way of giving back and doing some good and keeping the car hobby going too.
I tell you, Firman, I've talked to, you're my 1,382nd guest here. And I often get asked people what stands out after talking with so many people. And there's that one thing that has a consistency here that I've learned about all these wonderful conversations with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. We are happiest as human beings when we are giving back to others, when we are helping others, whether we even know it or not. So you just hit on probably the most important part of life right there. I think it's the secret to life is giving back and helping others. So I think it's fantastic. I had Steve and Gail Kautz on the show yesterday, and both of them talked extensively about how Ironstone helps young people. I think it's absolutely fantastic. We're going to talk more about Ironstone, but I want to talk a little bit more about you for a little while longer here, and I would love for you to share a story that instigated your personal passion for cars. Is there a pivotal moment in your life when you knew that you were going to be a car guy?
Well, let's see. I think in college I was fortunate to buy a brand new 57 Chevy convertible, $3,200. I remember that price. So, I drove that through college and into my first marriage, and I put 100,000 miles in that car and sold it for $1,000. And I said, well, I did good. 100,000 miles only cost me $2,000 from original price. Today, the thing's worth $60,000.
Yeah.
The same thing happened to the boat at the same time. I kept it for 10 years and sold it for the same price I paid for it, put it in a swimming pool. And what a good deal. Now, that boat's worth $60,000 today, too. So it isn't only the money. I never look back because it was a good deal at the time. And I'm happy I did it, and I got to move forward.
Well, that's the way to look at it for sure. I'm going to talk a little bit in a moment about special cars and seller's remorse. But first, I want you to share a big challenge or even a failure that you faced along the way. This could be in life and business. It doesn't really matter, but I want you to take us there. But more importantly, what was the learning lesson from that experience so you could move forward in a positive way?
Well, I think that story would be the story of a 1937 Cadillac V12. And it was serial number 13 of only 20 produced. I still have the car. And I was never superstitious of number 13 until I started to do this car. My wife really liked it because it had power, it had electric start, it had a heater, and it had windows, and quite different than my other Horseless carriages that didn't have any of those things. So I started working on it, and I needed the rubber for the running boards, and it was not available in the United States. A Beal Rubber Company that supplies all kinds of rubber parts for cars, they suggested I contact a guy in Canada, which I did, and I shipped the running boards up there. And a year and a half later, he said, "They're finished. Send me half the money, and I'll send you the running boards." So I sent him half the money, and the running boards never arrived. Well, I called a constable eventually, and come to find out he had 30 boxes of these running boards, never been opened, but he'd collected half the money on all of them. Well, I have to get them back. So some guy up there was very, he felt sorry for us, so he shipped all these 30 running boards back to us, but I still don't have any rubber. So then I found another guy up there, took another 6 months to get them returned to me, very successfully, by the way. So that was a 2-year ordeal in just getting the rubber for the running boards. And a lot of people
gosh.
Yeah, people don't realize how long it's pretty. They don't know why. They don't know how long it takes. We're not talking about the money part of it too, but there I found out we don't get excited. We keep working forward. We eventually see a finished product.
Well, I would imagine the lesson here is patience. Anytime you're restoring an old car, I know talking with a lot of restoration experts who've been on the show here, guests of mine who do it for a living, they always say, lots of times customers just don't realize what it takes to put an old car back together. We have to manufacture parts. We have to fabricate parts. We have to find parts. So I would think the story here, the lesson here is if you're going to restore an old car, especially yourself, plan on having a lot of patience. Is that right? Not to mention a lot of money.
Hey, wait a minute. And a very understanding wife to go along with it.
That helps. Yeah, that helps have a good, big time for sure. That'll keep the project on course most of the time.
Right.
Well, let's have a little bit of fun. I wanted you to talk about your first really special vehicle. You talked about that first car you bought, but the first really special, maybe first collector vehicle where you felt like, wow, I've always wanted something like this. I've got it. And maybe share a memory you have about that ride.
Well, I think it was the old Model T, the Model T truck. And, it started with that as my very first vehicle. I endured the challenges and saw the finished product. And I think that's what the basic is. I guess I wished I would have kept it because it was great memories. But you got to move on. That fellow in Germany is really happy with it, which makes me happy, to see him happy. I got to tell you a little story about selling a car. I sold one to an attorney in Chicago. And, of course, they don't see the cars, and it's all by emails and such as that. It had a good little pedigree. It won its class at Hillsboro, beat out a Pierce Arrow on that class. And so it was a really nice little car. So I sell it back to this guy, attorney in Chicago. And I contact him, and I said, did the car get there? He says, I can't talk to you now. I'll call you back. He calls me back and says, you misrepresented that car. And I said, John, what did I do wrong? You misrepresented the car. That's what he kept saying. You misrepresented the car. And I said, well, look, I'll have a cashier's check in the mail to you in the morning. I'll have the car picked up in 5 days. Now tell me what I did wrong. He keeps saying you misrepresented the car. So finally, I said, what do you want, John? Are you going to tell me or not to tell me? Well, it's better than you said it was. So he
thanks a lot.
He said, I got you. And I said, well, you notice how I don't argue with attorneys. I just give them their money back and move on.
Oh, yeah. Smart guy. Yeah,
so
exactly.
That was a cute little story of the fun you could have. But don't misrepresent anything, especially with an attorney. So,
no, don't mess with those guys. They'll cost you in many ways. It's funny. I raced a 1960 Lotus Formula Junior for years, vintage racing, and I sold it to a gentleman who had my exact name, even with an E on the end of Green, Mark Green, Dr. Mark Green in England. He bought the car from me, and he bought it sight unseen, of course. I sent pictures and lots of details, and we spoke. And when he got the car, he called me and said, hey, Mark, the car's arrived. He actually flew it over there. So I took it to the airport, and they put it on a British Airways plane, and it got there the next day. And I said, well, are you happy with it? And he goes, I got to tell you. And then there was a long pause, and I'm like, oh, no. And he said, I've never seen a race car as nice as this one. He goes, I can't believe you actually raced this thing. It's perfect. And I just went, ooh, oh, thank you. I'm thinking, man, I got to fly that thing back now. I'm like, oh, no. But you know what? You touch on an important thing. So many cars now are bought through pictures, through auctions, and lots of times you get them and they don't quite look the same, do they? And I think it's important to be extremely honest and also due diligence when you're buying a car. Ask a lot of questions, get a lot of pictures, or better yet, find somebody who lives there that will go and look at it for you.
Absolutely.
So you know exactly what you're getting. Yeah, it'll save both sides. Is that also your seller's remorse story, that old Ford Model T truck?
I think so.
Yeah.
But, getting back to the race cars, I got a quick little story you might enjoy. I lived in Pebble Beach, had a 6-car garage there, so I'd give 2 or 3 spaces to the Pebble Beach Concours contestants. Uh-huh. And I've had 3 best of shows come out of my garage and many class winners come out of my garage.
Nice.
So you could say it was a lucky garage for many people.
Yes, absolutely.
Once I was asked, could you keep my friend's Mercedes 183? The 183 was the Mercedes, the German car that beat the French at Le Mans. And so it was quite a famous car, so I learned. And Lufthansa was going to fly it over here because they wanted to say they flew the most expensive car. It's supposed to be freight. So I asked him, how much is this car worth? He says, $21 million. So I didn't believe him. But that year I went to, I had to tow it down to Pebble Beach because on the field because the race cars needed air. So I took it down with my little Kawasaki mule and we put it in the little paddock, And there's this guy standing there one day, very distinguished looking at the car. And I said, this is the Mercedes 183, the famous race car. He says, I know this car. And I said, oh, how do you know this car? I'm with the Stuttgart Museum. And I said, oh, no kidding.
Oh, wow.
I said, what do you think this car is worth? Because I play dumb really well. He said, I offer him $21 million. He won't take it.
Well, there you go.
I guess it was the truth, and I found the guy that offered the $21 million standing there in Pebble Beach. But
there you go.
From that day on, I never asked what a car was worth.
Yeah. Well, I guess the owner knows best, especially if he's been offered that kind of money. Well, I would love for you to share what has you excited and fired up about this year's Ironstone Concours. This is a fantastic event. I attended it for the first time ever last year. I can't believe I'd never been to it before. It's in Murphy's, California, which is kind of tucked away a little bit southeast of Sacramento, California. But I'll tell you something, it is well worth the trip. It's an absolutely fantastic event. How could you pitch this event to somebody who maybe has never gone to it to convince them they should make this trip reality?
Well, it's held at the Ironstone Vineyard Amphitheater, where they have concerts, great concerts. And also, so it's on the grasses and it's terraced, so you get a beautiful outlay of cars. The nicest part about it is that it has something for everybody. We have several cars coming up from Pebble Beach Concours, which was held last year. Several $1 million cars coming up, so we have that element. We have the Model Ts, we have the Thunderbirds, we have the Corvettes, we have the little amphicars from Germany. They only made, they only made 3,800 of them, and only 99 of them were converted to left-hand drive. So there's only about 450 existing now in the world, and 10 of them are at Disney World. And
oh, really?
Last year, we were fortunate to have 3 of them there at the Ironstone Concours, where they gave rides. So you'd hop in on the grass, and they'd drive you through the pond and come back up, and that was kind of a fun thing to do. Another thing, last year we had the 100-year-old race cars. 2 of them had raced in Indy at the Indy race 100 years ago, and you could get to ride in that thing. 5 laps for $100, which was a kick. My wife did it. They'd water the dirt track, and you'd come back splattered with mud, and people loved to do that. I mean, they were really fans,
Yeah.
So then the little thing, we have the little teardrop trailers, the Woody cars, the hit-and-miss engines, which are kind of fun to watch them pump water. So, like I say, there's something for everybody. But the price, that's the whole thing. Pebble Beach Concours this year was $350 a ticket. Ours is $25, that's all.
Yeah.
So for $25, everybody should go and see cars, history of cars. It's really kind of a neat thing.
It's a beautiful part of the country. It's really, really fantastic. And yeah, the amphicars were wonderful to watch people get rides around in those, and the old race cars. I got to ride in the tour last year with Charles Test, who's a future guest here on Cars Yeah, in a 1916 Indy Racer. I mean, that was just that was a dream come true. Very, very cool. It's a wonderful event. I encourage people to check it out. You can go to ironstoneconcours.org and learn more about this event. Put it on your calendar. It's well worth attending. And it's for a wonderful cause, too. I mean, they raise incredible amounts of money to help young people in their careers in agriculture. It takes place on September 28th. So go and check it out. You'll get to see Firman there and a whole bunch of other very, very cool people. So Firman, up next is the last lap. Before we put the pedal to the metal, let's say thank you to today's Cars Yeah sponsors. When you want proven performance, there's one brand that's been around since 1938. That's Edelbrock, building the finest American-made performance products for the street and track. Edelbrock's products are designed and dyno-proven to deliver maximum results. Edelbrock has thousands of made-in-the-USA performance products for all makes and models. From their new AVS2 carburetor and innovative ProFlow 4 EFI for your muscle car or truck, to superchargers for your daily driver and more, visit Edelbrock.com to check out the latest products for your ride. And when you're ready to check out, enter Cars Yeah in the coupon code and get 10% off your order. That's Edelbrock, automotive performance since 1938. You take care of your cars, but who takes care of your investments? Tune-ups aren't just for engines. Updating your financial plan is important too. Your GPS may take you from A to B, but it won't help you on the road to financial freedom. For that, you need a good co-pilot and a very trusted advisor. Chris Kimball, CFP, is just the man for the job. He'll guide you down that road without driving you crazy. For over 25 years, Chris has helped people just like you and me with their financial planning and investments. With a master's degree in financial services, he is eminently qualified, and he's a car guy too. Learn more at chrisvkimball.com or call 866-ON-A-PLAN. Securities through Money Concepts Capital Corp., member FINRA SIPC. CK Financial Services is not affiliated with Money Concepts Capital Corp. Are you looking for a way to get your products or services into the ears of thousands of automotive enthusiasts around the globe? I can help. This is Mark Green here at Cars Yeah, and I'd be honored to be an influencer and ambassador for your brand in a unique and personal way. 5 days a week, thousands of subscribers and listeners enjoy the Cars Yeah podcast and website. Contact me today and I'll show you how at mark@carsyeah.com or connect with me through the Cars Yeah website at carsyeah.com. All right, Firman, we are back, and I'm going to crawl into your head a little bit here and see what you think. Very introspective question. If you were a car, what would Firman be and why?
Oh, that's it. There's so many choices there. But I tell you a car I wouldn't want to be. Is that good?
Well, that's the first time anybody's answered it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what it was. I had a DeLorean in my garage, and the DeLorean is really, all the kids knew about it because of the movie Back to the Future, and people used to go and ooh and awe about this car. And I let them do that, and I was very proud to have the car to show to them. But, you didn't fit in the car. I'm a big guy, and I couldn't fit in the car. And the next thing is that the window it was electric, but it's only 6 inches by 16 inches, which gave you claustrophobia right then and there. How are you going to get out of that car?
Yeah.
The next thing, if it ever got dented, how do you fix it? If you paint it, the value goes down. So it had no power, but it sure was cute. So that's the car I wouldn't want to be.
You wouldn't want to be.
For those reasons, but a fun car to have and a fun car to look at. So.
Well, that's a unique answer to that question, and it's definitely the first time that question's been answered that way. I got to sit in one of those, both at the Peterson Museum down in the vault. They have a gold one, and also there's one at the California Automotive Museum. Carly Starr, who's a past guest on the show, was also on my television show. She let me sit in that car, which was pretty darn cool, and up until then, I'd not sat in one of those, but I see what you're saying. Now, I'm not a super big guy, so I fit in the car pretty well. But when you shut the door, you kind of feel like you're kind of encased inside that thing, and you hope you don't hit, 88 miles an hour, and you'll be blasted into the future or Back to the Future.
That's right. Or if you're ever down in the water, you can never get those doors open, that's for sure.
That would be a problem. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
now, those
very
cars,
unique.
Were they painted cars or were they stainless steel?
They were stainless steel. The gold one was actually plated in gold. It actually had a layer 24 karat gold all over the thing. So,
I saw that car. Yes.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. If you're ever lucky enough to go to the Peterson Museum, pay a little extra, go on a tour of the vault. They won't let you take pictures down there. We got to bring our television cameras down there. So that'll be on Cars Yeah Season 2. But, that was pretty cool. They had a lot of neat things down there.
Great museum.
Very unique answer there, Firman. All right, we are entering the checkered flag. Not the checkered flag. Let's start with the last lap before we get to the checkered flag. I'm going to fire off a series of questions and ask you to give our listeners some very quick blips of the DeLorean throttle. So here we go. What's the best automotive advice you've ever received?
Well, I think it's just be patient. And remember, if it's a hobby, I quote this again, there's no pressure, there's no time frame. You work on it for a day and you don't work on it for a month, and you work on it for a day and you don't work on it for a year. And that's what a real hobby should be. But some of us like to see things produced, but a real hobby should be lots of patience, lots of money, and lots of time.
And lots of time.
Yeah.
I had a guest on the show here that said, if you feel like you're not getting through a big project like that, if it becomes a little too daunting, just do a little bit every day. It might be just cleaning a part or putting a carburetor together, but do a little bit each day and eventually you'll finally get there. So, or
if you're kind of dragging on your first assembly, you buy a car and drive it while you're assembling it, and that keeps the hobby going. How's that?
There you go. Nicely done. Would you share one of your personal habits you believe has contributed to your many successes over the years?
Oh, that's a tough question. Let me think about that one again. One of my, parting thoughts would be, do whatever you want to do, and because life is really short, you never should say, I should have done that. Just do it. I did it. I'm still doing it.
There you go. Yeah. I have a saying here. My regular listeners have heard it. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Words of a loser. So don't be a loser. How about a resource? Is there one that you'd like to share with our listeners that is maybe a go-to for you? This could be a website, a blog, a supplier. It could even be a person in your life or an app that you use on your phone.
Well, a couple things that I really enjoy. I like Hemmings Motor News. I get an idea of pricing. A lot of people call me, what do you think that car is worth? I said, well, it's whatever you think it's worth, and you can't judge a car, an antique car, without looking at it. But I use Hemmings for getting prices and also for selling. I've sold nearly all my cars through Hemmings, so Hemmings is a really neat thing.
Absolutely.
Another publication that I used when I first started was the book From Here to Obscurity, which is the history of the Model T year by year. And I am very fortunate to have my 1912 Ford Touring in the book as the example car for the year 1912.
Really? Interesting. Very cool.
That's kind of a neat one. I don't change. The license plate is 1933. And, it's a 1933. I said, no, that's the license plate. Oh, it looks like a 1933. I said, see, if I ever changed that license plate, I couldn't tie it to the book, the pictures in the book. So I leave that plate on it, for value reasons. Yeah.
Absolutely.
A little trivia. Do you know how many Model Ts they made during the years 1909 to 27?
I don't. A lot, though.
14,600,000.
Oh, I would never have guessed that many.
I know. That's a trivia question. You may make $100,000 on a talk show sometime.
Well, I'll send you a check when that happens. How does that sound?
Good.
If I could wave my magic wand and arrange for you to have a drink with anyone in the automotive industry, living or deceased, who would it be?
Oh, my God. Jay Leno's a friend of mine. He's a fun guy. I'd really like to have a drink with someday is Lee Iacocca.
Oh, yeah.
He's not really a car man, although one of my mechanics here at the ranch worked on his muffler system on a Ferrari once. But anyway, here's a guy that was very successful in business. Look what he did with Chrysler Corporation. You really don't have to know everything about cars, but you got to know who to surround yourself with, to have knowledge of the industry. And he did a great job with it, and I think kept Chrysler alive and did some interesting things. I think that he started the 50,000-mile warranty, which kept the distributorships, which were closing, kept the people going back there. So the car industry needs good business people too.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I always ask my guests for a book recommendation. The book that you talked about, From Here to Obscurity, an illustrated history of the Ford Model T, 1909 to 1927. That book's by Ray Miller. Would that be the book you recommend people read, or is there another one?
That is Ray Miller. How did you know that? Did you look that up real quick while we're talking?
I'm a really smart guy, Firman. You can't believe the stuff I know here. But that book has been recommended a couple times here on Cars.
I'll be darned. Ray Miller is a friend of mine. He was out of Catalina Island,
Yeah.
That's where he wrote the book. And because of Ray Miller, we have been able to take the Model Ts on a barge over to Catalina Island, which doesn't accept, the private cars over there. So I've been over there with that little Model T12 4 times to Catalina Island.
No kidding. I didn't know they let people do that.
No, they don't let people over there.
Wow. So that's very cool.
Yeah, I guess they figure the Model T isn't going to do much damage. So.
Well, probably not.
But they do inspect underneath for dirt and any type of vegetation so you don't contaminate the island. That was kind of cute that they washed one car. My car was clean, but one of them had too much dirt on it, so they washed it before they let us tour. So that's kind of
cute. Very interesting. Well, I'll remind our listeners, you can find links to that book on Firman's show notes page on the Cars Yeah website. All right, Firman, we are up to the checkered flag, as I referred to earlier, and this question can be a bit of a doozy, especially for a collector like you. I'm going to buy you a cool collector car today. Any car in the world, as a matter of fact, but there are some rules that may make this decision a little more challenging for you. I want you to drive it, so no garage queens. You can't sell it to buy a bunch of other cars with, so that little trick's off the table for a smart guy like you. But here's the kicker. It's the only collector car you can have, which means you have to get rid of everything else, unless you already have the car you want to keep, and then I don't have to buy you a car today. What's it going to be, that one car?
Well, I'd love to have you buy me a car. I'd like to have a Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost. I love this era. I love this styling. And those Rolls Royces run forever, so I won't need another car. And that will make my wife very happy to get rid of what I have left. I've sold 20 of my cars, so if I could put one there and replace everybody, it would be the Rolls Royce Silver Ghost.
Oh, yeah, pretty magnificent car and beautiful car, actually. I'll tell you, my listeners have heard this, but I got to say it again. I've been going to Pebble Beach for 31 years. This was my 31st year attending that event. And this year, I finally got to ride in the Tour de Elegance. And I got invited by Steve Plaster and his wife, Amy, to join them in their 1913 Rolls Royce. It's a Rolls Royce 4050. Just magnificent car, wonderful car, kind of in the era of those old silver ghosts. So, yeah, I think you made a nice choice. Is there a specific car that you have in mind?
No, I haven't found it yet. I don't know how much money you have to spend to buy me this car, you said. So
hey, money is no problem here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Whatever
you want.
On the Pebble Beach tour, did you see the 1910 Winton?
Yes.
That Stu Laidlaw restored? That came out really nice. The car ran really well, on the tour. And I said, why didn't you park it on Ocean Avenue? Well, I don't want people to scratch it, so it's going to do really good. And did you know it didn't make it onto the field?
I didn't hear that. Oh,
yeah,
no.
It was really sad because it he ran good on the tour. Everything was good. They flew it out, it came out from Connecticut. A lot of money involved with bringing the car out there. And the gas tank had a crack in the seal. And it's under pressure. It's a 3-pound pressurized gas. They don't have a fuel pump. It was pressurized. It was spraying gas, and they wouldn't let it go on the field. So it's been invited back for next year. But this is what happens with cars.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's heartbreaking. Yeah, that's heartbreaking to come all that way. Well, I didn't know that, but I did see that car. It was absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it was
beautiful.
a beautiful car. My friend Stu Laidlaw restored it, and we used to have shops together up here. So
nicely done. Well, Firman, you've taken me on a great ride today. Really enjoyed getting to know you better. I want to thank you for sharing your journey. Could you offer us a little parting piece of wisdom or guidance before you drive off into the beautiful California countryside in that Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost?
Oh, the one you're going to buy me. Yes, I'd love to be there with you. I just hope that I get to see you at the Ironstone Concours on September 28th. We look forward to you. And this has been a very fun adventure and a little ride with you today.
Well, thank you. It's been a great ride, too. Make sure that you go to ironstoneconcours.org. Check this out. It takes place September 28th. It is an event that you don't want to miss. I'll tell you something. The grounds there are incredibly stunning. It is spread out over a vast area. It's a wonderful way to spend the day. You can go up to the vineyards, to the wine tasting room. You can see a giant nugget of gold in their vault. They have a beautiful museum. Everything about the Ironstone Concours is magnificent. So check it out. Join Firman. Hopefully I'll be able to make it this year, and all the other fun people at the 23rd Annual Ironstone Concours. You can find everything we talked about today on Firman's show notes page. Firman, thanks for being so generous today with your time, your expertise, and for sharing your automotive experiences with the listeners. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you at the Ironstone Concours.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome. Hey, Mark Green here from Cars Yeah. Did you know you can now see me on the Cars Yeah TV show? It's a weekly visit to some of my past Cars Yeah podcast guests, and I take you along for the ride. You go behind the garage door and into their lives, their businesses, and you get to see what makes them successful. With tens of millions of viewers, Cars Yeah TV is making its mark. Cars Yeah TV is available on MAV TV and Lucas Oil Racing TV. You'll find MAV TV on Direct TV, Fubo TV, Fios by Verizon, or you can stream it through Lucas Oil Racing Television online. And they said I only had a face for podcasting.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.